Since the invasion, Western countries have swiftly moved to isolate Russia from the global financial system. U.S. President Joe Biden opened a new attack on Russia's economy earlier on Friday, joining with allies to hit Moscow on trade and shut down development funds, announcing a ban on imports. The European Union announced it will ban the export of its luxury goods to Russia in order to deal a blow to the Russian elite. Taken in coordination with G7 countries, which includes the UK, the US, Canada and Japan, the package also includes denying Russia the status of most favored nation in their respective markets. Russia has become the world's most sanctioned country, with over 5,000 sanctions so far. But is this enough to deter Russia? How much impact will these sanctions have? Well, joining us to discuss this is an international affairs expert, Mr. Paul Ejime. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me, Millicent.
Welcome. Yesterday, U.S. President announced fresh sanctions, which includes revoking Russia's preferred trade status and pushing to suspend normal trade relations with the country. How significant is this move, and what impact is it likely to have on Russia?
Well, put all the sanctions put together, you have talked about them about 5,000, and that makes Russia in history. That is the most sanctioned nation. You will think that the idea is to squeeze and destroy the Russian economy. But is that the whole idea? The sanctions will also have effects across the world, not just the report that preceded this interview. You had Poland complaining that they also needed help to be able to take the amount of refugees that are now flowing into that country. Other neighboring countries are facing the same. It is not about sanctions. They are treating this conflict as if it's about economy. Remember, they went there because Russia invaded Ukraine, something that is political. But now they are using these economic factors, sanctions, to thinking that alone will be able to make Putin to, what will Putin do? No, but much is not being talked about in terms of the dialogue and negotiation. It's only the UN Secretary General that is talking about it. Sanctions will hurt not just Russians, for 145 million of them. It will hurt 43 million Ukrainians. It will also hurt millions of neighboring countries, and even they will have reverberative effect across the globe, even to Africa. Because they will now tell you the amount of cooperation that Africans used to have will be diminished. It will be reduced. And you see President Biden talking about now denying Russia the preferential, free trade. Africa also has to watch it. Remember, we have the AGAL, African Growth and Opportunity Act, which is ending in 2025. If the Western world can wake up one morning and then begin to, without due process, begin to cut off countries, who tells you that they cannot use the same thing against Africa? So that is the reason this unilateral, inconsistent, and then hypocritical kind of sanctions are becoming too much. You cannot use the disease. I think the treatment is getting worse than the disease. I think they should now look at negotiation and how to bring, because at the end of the day, even after killing everybody, you still have to come to the table. So why don't you do that now?
We hope it doesn't get to that. Putin has called the Western economic sanctions on Russia akin to a declaration of war. But if sanctions are not enough, and if my earlier guest today is saying negotiations will not work, what then?
I think sanctions alone will not either. It has to come with remember, this is the same Western countries. History has a way of throwing out certain things. When it was apartheid South Africa, remember Britain under Thatcher told us that sanctions don't work. U.S. companies were doing business with South Africa then, suddenly they have discovered that sanction alone can work. No, it can work. It has to be complemented by actions, certain actions, maybe behind the scenes. Let countries engage. Those who can, that Putin can listen to, they should be able to come together and bring safe face. Now, rigidity cannot do it. We need some level of flexibility.
Thank you so much, International Affairs expert. Always a pleasure having you join us on the program. Mr. Paul Ejime, many thanks and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for having me.